but I would just first love for you to share your actually journey and how you started to become this
Okay,
aphrodisiac foods and
sure.
sexual health expert here.
So I started out, I was writing about wine, as you mentioned. I was working as a wine writer, wine competition judge, and I also was writing a little bit about food. And I loved anything to do with food history, and anything that would interweave the history of food with like folklore. But during this time, I also got very sick, like very, very sick. And it took a while to get a diagnosis. And the diagnosis, finally, when I found out, it was so not sexy, but basically I had a systemic yeast infection combined with a mold allergy, which essentially meant that I had my digestive system was kind of destroyed at the time. And I was losing weight rapidly. And I didn't want to. I mean, I went down to 90 something pounds. It was crazy. Yeah, I'm 5'8", so it was super
Oh,
crazy. Yeah,
wow.
yeah. Um, anyway, the treatment was mostly changing my diet temporarily, but I had to eliminate so many foods from my diet, like almost everything. It was horrible. And although it was horrible, what I noticed right away is almost instantly I started to feel better. And I was really fascinated by this reaction. Like, I couldn't believe how much my body could respond and change and feel completely different just by changing the way that I ate. And so, since I already had this, I was already working in the food business and writing about food. And I was like, oh, this is it. This is my calling. This is what I want to do. I want to show other people how you can make food choices that just can change the way that you feel for the better. And I aphrodisiacs was a natural choice for me because it combined my love of folklore and my love of food history with my love of eating well, eating right, making the smart food choices. Because that's all it is. It's a combination. Aphrodisiacs is a combination of those two things. And so I kind of continued down this path. I went on and got my master's degree in gastronomy and got to study, even increase my knowledge there. I started working with a nutritionist, actually a woman who'd been working with me as an intern and writing for me. She loved the subject so much she went on to get a PhD in nutrition. And
Mm.
so she and I started working together. How can we do this together? How can we build this from our points of knowledge? And so I just kept growing. And so yeah, I spend a lot of my time, I'll read the data, the scientific data on these foods, and I'll spend part of my day researching history, and I'll spend part of my day writing and speaking, and I love it. It's an incredible area of food. I think any health topic is incredible, but mine is really fun because I'm helping people feel good.
Yes, especially sexually, because some people tend to
Exactly.
not have that libido and they want to see what's natural out there that they can
Right.
incorporate into their daily lives, like chili
Right.
peppers,
Yes.
oysters, I hear. What are some other foods that will increase libido for men or
Well, it sounds like
women?
you've done some of your homework already, right? Yeah, oysters for sure is the famous one, and we can even talk about why it's actually legitimately true. Chocolate. I have a list. So I run a website called eatsomething.sexy.com. And on there, with this nutrition PhD friend of mine, Delana, we created lists of the 10 best foods for women's sexual health and the 10 best foods for men's sexual health. And believe it or not, dark chocolate specifically, makes the list for women of
Wow.
one of the 10 best foods you could eat for your sexual health, among other things. Believe it or not, um, dark chocolate will help balance the pH of a woman's vagina.
Oh, wow. I didn't know
You need a
that.
healthy vagina, man.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's something we don't talk about. We don't talk about really women when we talk about, sexual health and eating for your libido. It's usually men we talk about because when they have a problem, it's very pronounced. Whereas women, we just get forgotten or we hide it,
Right.
you know.
Yes.
Um, so
Yes.
other foods for women and would be, I know people roll their eyes when I say this one, but kale.
I love
Oh,
kale.
good. Good, because most people go, really? I have to eat kale. To which I respond, there are many ways you can use kale other than eating it raw, that can be delicious. You can make kale chips.
Yeah.
You can put it in a soup, right? You can put it in lasagna,
Right,
right?
right.
So yeah.
Lasagna, yes. And I just made kale chips not too long ago and they came
Oh,
out
fun.
so good.
They're so easy to
Yeah.
make too.
So
So
easy. Just
yeah.
pour a little olive oil, a little sprinkle some sea salt, whatever, and then
Exactly.
throw it in the oven for a little bit, and then voila, it's done. Because I started just cooking recently in 2020. I had that break. I think all of us had that
Mhm.
break in
Mhm.
2020, and we just had that pause, and I learned that I can cook. Before it was
Oh,
ramen,
excellent.
mac and cheese, and all these
No,
things.
no.
Yeah, so before
Oh
the
dear.
pandemic, I actually got married in February to
Mhm.
my Indian husband, and Indian spices, I have learned to grind them with the mortar and
Fabulous.
pestle. Yes. And so
Yeah.
I'm learning all about like ingredients and everything. And so he appreciates me so much because I cook for
Oh.
him and